Okay, welcome back folks. Today I want to shoot some 6.5 PRC. I want to shoot the 140 grain Hornady match boat tail hollow point with Hodgdon Retumbo. So in our last video, I got my repaired sizing die back from Redding and we tested it all out and everything seemed to be going good. So hopefully our sizing die problems are behind us. But coming out of that video, got a lot of brass that is prepped and ready to go. It was annealed and then sized in that video, and then trimmed, chamfered, and primed. So I've got some of the Nosler and the Hornady brass prepped and ready to go at this point. So it's just powder and bullet. So pretty easy loading today. So in that last video, we shot Reloader 26 with this same bullet. And we were shooting in Hornady brass. That went pretty good. The groups weren't terrible. And we'll probably get back to Reloader 26 before too long. So today with Retumbo, I want to take this opportunity to compare the two brands of brass, which we haven't really done yet. So test number one was to load up a few shots in each type of brass and just see where we're at as far as velocity goes. So these are the charge weights. I went up to 59.5 grains. Hornady in their manual shows a max of 59.3. The Hodgdon website on some other similar bullets shows 59 to 59.5. So I went ahead and went to 59.5. So we've already run into it before, but this is another case where the Sierra manual has some really weird numbers in it. They show a max charge of 56.1. So it makes me a little bit nervous, but you know, I'm basically ignoring everything Sierra has to say at this point because all of their stuff just seems way lower. So half grain increments, 57.5 up to 59.5, 5 shots with each brass. This is what the groups looked like. Went ahead and went out and shot these. There's the Hornady brass. That group was just under an inch. And here's the Nosler brass, and that was a little bit over an inch. I think it was a 1.1 and a 0.8 something like that. Here are the velocities on a chart. And they tracked pretty close to one another. Like most of the numbers were within 10, 15, 20 feet per second. So that's really good. Kind of happy to see that. That tells me there's probably not some big case capacity difference between the two, which maybe we'll measure that later in the video. But the velocities look the same. The charge weight in the middle looks like a good one, 58.5 grains. We'll just stick with that. Looks like it'll give us about 2,925 feet per second. I want to shoot the same overall lengths that we shot in the last video with Reloader 26. So 2.930 is 20 thousandths of jump, and we'll shoot 2.920 and 2.910. So 5 shot groups, 3 different overall lengths, 2 different types of brass, and we'll just see what happens. Okay, so I've measured out all of our charge weights with the Charge Master Light. The bullet seating die is still set from the previous video. It's in the Redding T7 turret press and hasn't moved. Now this 58.5 grain charge of Retumbo is still not a compressed load. Neither was the max charge that I shot, 59.5. There's not much room, but there is just a little bit of room. I could definitely make it to 61 grains probably, maybe a little bit more than that before we got compressed. At least at these overall lengths, right? A little over 2.9 inches. All right, so that's the first overall length in both pieces of brass, and I'm just going to bring the sizing die down 10 and seat 10 more. Okay, last one. No problems to report. Let's get out to the range. Okay, so our target is at 100 yards. This is a Savage 110 Precision with a Vortex Viper HS 24 power scope. We're getting velocities from the lab radar, and you might see some other velocities over on the Shot Marker electronic target system. That system takes velocity readings at the target. Okay, so I think the way I want to shoot this is we'll just start with the Nosler. Let's shoot all 3 groups with the Nosler, then we'll move over to Hornady. So we're starting with the longest. This is 2.930, and hopefully we don't get interrupted by rain. It's very hot and humid. It rained some this morning, supposed to be storms all day, but hopefully not until we're done. Don't screw it up. Felt pretty good. So 0.63 inch group, average velocity 2938, standard deviation 4.4, extreme spread of 12. Okay, moving on to 2.920, still with the Nosler brass. Okay, so the wheels came off there just a little bit. Group was 0.88 inches, velocity 2944, standard deviation 13.4. A little bit of suppressor mirage there in the last couple shots. So it's time for a break to let things cool. Okay, last group with the Nosler brass, 2.910. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so that is a very nice 0.46 inch group. Velocity was 2938, standard deviation 7.8. Really awesome. I need to go move my camera to the Hornady row. Okay, moving on to the Hornady brass and going back to 2.930 inches. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. This is nuts, folks. 0.34 inches. Yep, so group is 0.34 inches. Velocity was 2940, standard deviation 11.2. Let's do the same thing again. This is 2.920. Okay, so that's not quite as good as the last group, but I'm never going to be disappointed by a 0.58 inch group. Velocity was 2936, standard deviation 6.7. Awesome stuff. I need to let the gun cool down for a minute. It's way too easy to shoot fast with this cartridge. The recoil's so light that you just got to remind yourself that that's a 60 grain powder charge, you know, that's a lot of heat. Well, the clouds are starting to get dark, but you know what? I don't care. We only got 5 shots left. The gun's cooled off, and this is 2.910 inches. Okay, so that's a little bit of a stinker to finish it off with, but listen, 0.85 inches, I'll take it when that's what your bad groups look like for the day. You had a pretty good day on the range, as far as I'm concerned. I felt really good behind the gun today. I've done a lot of complaining about this gun as far as just my comfort and just never feeling like I could get the hold I was after and everything. But today felt pretty good. I'd made several adjustments. Yesterday, whenever I came out to shoot those first 10 shots for velocity, I took that opportunity to reevaluate and readjust everything. And also ended up going back to the original grip for this gun. I'd been running the vertical grip. That didn't feel like a big change today, but this felt pretty good. So I'll probably stick with this for a little while. Got the comb height set to a really nice level. That felt good today. So a lot of little things that came together to feel pretty darn good today. All right, let's get back to the bench. So if this video feels chopped up and disjointed, it's because it is. I had a section at the beginning of the video talking about this Nosler brass, and I ended up editing out that whole discussion. But the basics of it are, I still didn't get this Nosler brass sized enough. And I ran into like difficult bolt lift when shooting this Nosler brass. And hopefully I'll hit the angle correct. You'll see there's a bunch of shiny spots on this brass, I think where it rubbed against the bolt face during a difficult extraction. So in my next 6.5 PRC video, we're just going to have another go at it and see if we can size this Nosler brass a little bit harder so that it just fits in the chamber a bit better. Because the fit just seems a little bit too tight right now. So outside of that, there weren't any brass issues to speak of at all today. It all just looks good, but I'm glad I was shooting Hornady at the same time. Because if I was only shooting Nosler today, this would have seemed like pressure issues. You know, the velocities were low, so I don't think I would have freaked out about it too much, but it still would have concerned me, I guess. But the way things played out, not concerned at all. So I'm really happy with the groups today, and I'm also happy to see that the Nosler shot well. I think that's why, you know, that earlier part that I mentioned I'd cut out, I think that's why I kind of went on and on about all of the things I had observed with the Nosler brass, because I expected, or I feared, I guess, that they wouldn't shoot well. But that definitely wasn't the case. So velocity is pretty much the same across the two brands. Both of them are clearly shooting good groups. And this seems like an awesome powder and bullet combination for this gun. Listen, I already love this bullet. My 6.5 Creedmoor Thompson Center Compass shoots this bullet really good, so I've got them around. They're pretty inexpensive, so it makes a good plinking bullet. And listen, like the ballistic coefficient of this style of match bullet might not be up there with some of the newer designs, but it's still like really, really good. So excellent SD numbers with Retumbo, but the velocity is about 50 feet per second, but behind where we were last time with Reloader 26. Now, like I said, we've got case capacity left, and I don't think we're hitting any crazy pressures yet. So we could definitely push it past 3,000 feet per second. But these numbers are good enough for me, and this brass is really hard to get, so I'd rather not blow the primer pockets out. So this 58.5 grains that I shot today at about 29.35 was probably our average across all the groups today. So that's a pretty sensible load, and it looks like, you know, a little bit more exploring for the right overall length, and we probably have some really, really good. So definitely be seeing more about this combination. So all right, I think that's it for today. Appreciate you joining me. See you next time.